YouTube. Today it is Friday the 16th of June and I'm on my way to find a tramping site for another day tramping due to a slight miscalculation on my behalf. So I'll tell you all about it, about my day and about the stats for this day and this week. So I started off the day needing to get to Bideford and Bristol to do my pickups for my regular client, or what's becoming a regular client at least, what I'm hoping to be my regular client. And also I had to add into that route Banbury, which I didn't do yesterday, because yesterday I picked up a co-load on the way down from Sheffield and I didn't have time before the depot closed to get to Banbury as well. And I thought that I would be able to get all three pickups done today before the depot closed at 7/8 o'clock. That proved to be incorrect. And so one of the things I've learnt is going to Devon and back from High Wycombe is quite tough to do in a day in terms of fitting it in with the depot times. So I did manage to pick up a discrete load, a new load that took me, so I started off near Beaconsfield, and I was heading towards Bideford just to get there as soon as I could. And along the way I picked up a job from Swindon going to Ilfracombe, which is quite close to Bideford considering how far away Bideford is from where I was. So I put on a bit slightly lower than I usually would do. It was a long wheelbase job. It was 150 miles. And if you think about the factors, it would, for a long wheelbase, I would be wanting to quote £1.20, £1.10 a mile. Bearing in mind it's going to Ilfracombe, there's not a lot of drivers that would want to go to Ilfracombe, so therefore maybe 120 is a good price to put it at. But I was coming from Swindon, and I don't know how busy Swindon is. There's usually quite a lot of drivers there, and I was also coming myself from Beaconsfield. There's a lot of drivers near London, so I wasn't quite sure about the competition for this job. So that would mean you'd want to reduce it a bit, so maybe £1 a mile, to sort of give you a chance of getting it. And then I've got to consider, if I don't get this job, I'm going to be going the same trip anyway. I'm just going to be not getting paid for it. So I'm going to be driving from Beaconsfield to Bideford for no money, or I can pick up this job for a lower quote than £1 a mile and it gets some money. So I bid £10 less than £1 a mile, 140, which I think felt to me to be a fair price considering the situation I was in. And I was reasonably hopeful I'd get it. The phone didn't ring straight away, and obviously the longer the phone doesn't ring, the less likely you're thinking you're going to get the job. But it did ring within about 10 minutes. And I got offered the job, and I was so happy. The guy was really pleasant, and I was very thankful to him for giving me the job. I didn't say why, I just was very thankful. And this brings me to one of the things that I try to do in my work. It's not something I always achieve, but it reminded me how I want to be as a person. So in this example, I was very happy because I got given £140 to basically go and do a job that I was going to drive anyway. because I was happy, it put a spring in my step for this job, and I was really pleased to do it. But the shipper doesn't know any of that, and so I was really polite and thankful to the shipper, but they didn't know why. As far as I'm concerned, that's just who I am. And my lesson that I try to do is I try to treat every job like it's a bonus job in terms of how I treat the person on the other end of the line. Now, the other end of the scale is I have had, in my first couple of weeks, I had a backload job that went a long distance, and I basically underbid because I wasn't sure what I was doing. And I felt doing that job was a waste of my time. It was a long distance. I was wasting my time, and I didn't feel happy about doing it. I felt the opposite about doing it. But my point is that if you've got a job like that, you still talk to the shipper as though you've got a bonus great job and you're really happy to do it. Because that's the kind of person I want to be, the kind of person I want to come across to people around me. I want to come across as being kind and friendly and polite and professional. So that job today reminded me the feeling I had when I accepted that job. Try and remember that feeling and be like that for every job. Now I can't do it for every job because I'm not a robot, but I'm going to try and do that. That's my way of trying to be a better person with other people. So I took that job. It was 2 pallets from Swindon all the way to Ilfracombe. On the way I got some fuel, filled up a tank with fuel, and went to the toilet, and then I just drove all the way. There was some heavy traffic on the M5 past Bristol. There was an accident we came across, but it wasn't too much of a delay, probably about 15 minutes delay. So I got to Ilfracombe and I had to wait for unloading. There's a lorry up ahead of me, and I rang the number I was told to ring on the sign and nobody answered. I tried again, nobody answered. I walked over to the goods inn, which wasn't close to where I was told to park, and I rang the bell. There was no answer. You can hear people inside, so I rang the bell again, no answer. I thought, what do I do here? There's obviously a lot of strict guidance here about not just walking onto the yard. And eventually someone came past the door. I knocked on the door. They came to me, explained to me that they'd unload me in about 10 or 15 minutes. I had to go back to my van and wait there. So I got there at 1:45, having left Swindon at having arrived at Swindon at 9:55. The Swindon job was at any time before 10 o'clock pickup. So I just about got to Swindon in time, and I had to get to the Ilfracombe before 2 o'clock. So I got there in time as well, even with a fuel stop and a toilet stop. And so eventually I got unloaded and finished at 2:10. Now at this point I was then thinking, my day's not going to plan now, is it? Because I've only just tipped off a job I wasn't even planning to do today. I've now got to get myself to Bideford, and then to Bristol, and then Banbury, and then High Wycombe. And I planned the route out on the sat nav, and it was coming out being something like 5.5 hours. And with my handballing, there was no way I was going to make that in time. So that's where I realised my day had not gone to plan. So I was carried on. I went to Bideford, did my pickup there. I got there at finished there about 3:30. Then went off to Bristol, finished there about 5:30. Finished loading up at 5:30. And at this point that I rang the shipper and explained my plan, because I wasn't going to be able to get it all done today, and I thought out of courtesy I would let them know what I had done so far and what I was going to do. So I explained that I'd already picked up Stockport and Sheffield the day before and offloaded them. I explained that I'd already picked up Bideford and Bristol. I was on my way to pick up Banbury. My plan was to drop them all off in the morning because the depot is open on Saturday morning. And I asked her what time it opens, and I was thinking 8 o'clock, but she said 4 o'clock. So I said I would drop off in the morning the load that I've got on my van now. So at this point I went and got some food because I'd run out of food that I brought with me, because I don't usually have enough food for more than 2 days. I went to Sainsbury's and I specifically bought some, in inverted commas, healthy food, because I need to be better with food and exercise with this job. I won't go into the details right now, it'll be obvious for most people who do this job. And I spent £14.50 on healthy food, in inverted commas. That's the downside. I felt virtuous from getting stuff that was good for me, but it was very expensive. On a par, I suppose, with getting a big McDonald's and a milkshake and like a pudding. So I'm glad I didn't do that. I'm determined not to do that now. Anyway, I'm digressing slightly. So I had a little break then, and then I made my way across to Banbury. I got loaded up in Banbury and was finished there at about 9 o'clock-ish after the shopping. And at this point, prior to this, I got a text. So when I rang the shipper, when I rang the shipper after my Bristol pickup, I did ask them if there's any work for next week, and she said there was, but she hasn't organised it yet. So I asked if she would send it through to me, and I'll have a look at what it is and sort of prepare some prices. So usually I get the routes given to me, and I just put in a bid and then do the routes they're given. On this occasion, I looked at what was available. I created what I thought were sensible routes, and it came up to being 4 routes for next week. And then I put a price. I worked out a price I'll do each of those 4 routes for. And then I thought about how I could fit them into my week. There is no pressure on me to do all 4 or to do all the work from the shipper, but I put pressure on myself. I want to be able to be relied upon, so they don't need to use anyone else. They only use me. So my challenge is to get all of that stuff delivered next week by myself in time. So I've created the 4 routes. I suggested what they were, suggested the prices, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to get them all. Now I won't tell you now what they are, because I'm quite tired and it will make the video longer than it needs to be. But on Monday I will give you, at the start of my video, what those 4 routes are and the prices I'm getting for them, assuming that I do get given them on the CX. And I'm looking forward to it, to be fair. There's a long one in there, there's a couple of medium-sized ones and an awkward one. But it's a challenge, and I'm up for a challenge. So I will give you today's stats, and I'm going to break a little rule of mine. I won't technically get this load delivered today. My plan is to have a little nap in my cab outside the depot, and as soon as it opens at 4 o'clock, get offloaded and get home. So I'm not going to be driving any extra miles after I get to the depot, but technically I won't finish it till tomorrow. But I'm going to give you the stats as though it was all done today, and the stats I'm going to give you will be as though I've driven home. So my total mileage will be driving from, I'm now on the way to depot from my last stop. I've calculated my mileage from when I get home. I've also got some figures for my weekly total, which I'll give to you at the end as well. Right, let me get that in front of me. I thought I had another lesson that I might have, maybe I've said it, I probably said it in this video. So for this week, for today, by the time I've got to the depot, I will have worked 13 hours today. If you added on 2 hours for me to get home from the depot, I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to have a nap first. So technically speaking, this whole job and day would have been a 15-hour day, but I'm not going to do it in one go. My total mileage today, assuming when I've got home, is 606 miles, 606, and my average fuel pence per mile for this week is 12.43 pence per mile. I've done 2 fill-ups so far. That's my average from those 2 fill-ups at today's rates. That's at this week's rates on my fuel card. Therefore, my total fuel cost for this week is £75.33. My gross earnings for today, in inverted commas for today, is the £140 I've done this morning for my Swindon to Ilfracombe job. My £260 that I'm going to get for doing the Bideford and Bristol pickups, and £295 for the Stockport, Sheffield and Banbury pickups that I've done over 2 days. That gives a total gross earnings of £695, £695. Therefore, my total net earnings after fuel is £620, £620 for a day and a half's work. I think at this point I want to just add a little bit of extra detail. I have said this in my first few videos, but having looked at a lot of videos today of the YouTubers that I like, I think there might be a lot of complaints that they get that they don't give realistic figures for their earnings, which is really why I'm doing it this way. This is why I'm putting in this amount of detail, so that if you're not doing this job or you're very new, you can see the progress that I made in terms of my very low earnings at the start and how I've developed over time and how long it takes to develop sort of expertise. Now, I did say in one of my earlier videos, but I'll repeat it here, if I can earn £250 a day after fuel, that will pay for my business expenses, my living, my bills, and some savings. So within my business expenses category will be all the things I haven't talked about. It will be the tax, the maintenance of my van, the depreciation of my van, the stuff that I buy to go in the van, the CX membership, my insurance. So although I'm not giving you a daily net figure after my fixed costs, I am taking that into account with the amount of money that I'm trying to earn. So that's how I've justified giving you my figures in the way that I have. It's a very fair reflection of a large wheelbase driver working primarily from the CX in 2023. And as I said before, not all of my work is on the CX now. One of the jobs, or well, two of the jobs this week, 2 of the big jobs this week, were from a shipper that I've made contact with directly. So there is some caveats there that I hope explains. If you're new to this, that might seem like a lot of money that I'm making, and you'll see that I'm doing quite a lot of hours as well. So you can make this money. You can. You have to make some sacrifices, and loads of people that I've recommended already have already been through this up to 10 times. Okay, so now I'd like to give you my weekly figures. My total work hours this week over 5 days, or I'm going to say 5 days. I'm technically going to be a few hours into Saturday, but I'm going to call it 5 days. It's 61.25 hours of work. My total miles driven from door to door, from when I left the house on Monday to when I arrived at the house tomorrow morning, is 1,910 miles, 1910. My total fuel costs for this week is £237, 237. And my gross earnings, that's just the money I took in, is 1,468, 1468. But I don't really take any notice of that number. The number I'm more concerned about is what is my net earnings after I've paid for my fuel. And that figure is 1,231. In terms of my pence per mile earned, it's gone down slightly this week. For every mile that I've driven, I've earned 64.45 pence. And finally, my average net earnings per day this week after fuel is £246. Tantalisingly close to my target, but not quite. I'm going to end my video on a slightly different, it's not really a tip. I gave a tip about how I work earlier today in this video, but it's something I want to share something I've learned doing this YouTube channel. I've learned some skills that I didn't know before. I've learned that I can use my battered camera phone to take reasonable quality audio and visual, and I can upload that while I'm in my van to my YouTube account. I never thought I could do that. I know now how to put stuff into a description. It's quite simple when you do it, but I didn't know it when I first started. The first few videos didn't have any description in them. I think I know about tag words. I put tag words in. I'm not quite sure what they do, so maybe I've semi-learned tag words. And I have learned about taking the picture landscape, which I didn't know before. I've learned about the YouTube Studio program and how it has so much statistical analysis. You can spend all day looking at it, and that's quite interesting to see who's watching, but sort of people that are watching, male, female, where they're from, how many minutes on average they watch. And I've learned how to amend the transcription that comes up when you put subtitles on. I did amend my first video so that it was exactly what I said, including the mistakes. And I was going to do every video, but it took me so long to do the 6-minute video, I haven't got the time to do every single one. So what I will do is, if there is a video that you would like me to correctly transcribe because I'm mumbling and you can't tell what the words are, let me know the number of the video and I will go and transcribe that, correct the transcription for that if you feel it's going to be helpful. I think because I'm doing one video a day, I haven't got the time. I really haven't got the time to be changing every video that part there. Unfortunately, it does upset me a bit that I can't have an accurate transcription. but I have to realise my limits of my skill set, my time really, more than anything else. So I suppose those are the skills that I've learned. I haven't learned yet how to edit videos and put graphics on and stuff. Oh, I think I've put links into my description. I think I've done that okay. And I suppose I want to end on what else have I learned. I've learned, surprisingly, that I really enjoy it. I did the YouTube originally because I wanted it to be giving information to people that had already decided they wanted to do this job or were thinking about it but didn't know enough information, so for their research. And I wanted to give information that I would have wanted when I was starting. So I really wanted to know, well, how much can you actually earn? Yeah, how long do you have to work for? Where do you go? Where are the jobs? What do you do when you're doing this job? And I got a lot of that information from other YouTubers, but people do tend to stay away from actual figures, and I thought I could do that. I didn't see that anywhere else on the YouTube. Saintsman and Round on the Run do figures, so I suppose, as I said in my first video, I'm most similar to their style, but I'm slightly different, I think. Anyway, so I signed up for those altruistic reasons, but what surprised me was I really enjoy it. I really look forward to any comments or the views going up. I look forward to any more subscribers coming on, and I'm motivated to do videos every day, and I do try and get them done at the end of the day and get them uploaded, and I try and treat this as though you are watching it live, despite the fact that it's possible this could be years later when you're watching this. But in my mind, if you're new in a year's time, a lot of this will still be relevant. It's all part of the mix, I think, and some people find it useful, some people won't. I've learnt that I really have to be calmer in my presentation style. I have to try and think about what I'm going to say, present it in a calm way, in a better than I've just done then. I've learned that there is a community of YouTubers that I haven't. I'm not part of that community, but I am starting to reach out to them by their YouTube pages by writing comments. They don't know that I've got a YouTube channel, obviously, because I don't have much of a following, and I'm not going to tell them that I've got one because of my self-imposed challenge of trying to grow this channel organically. I'm going to do another shout out today because I spent most of today going through lots of the videos I've already seen, and I went through all of John's videos, TMVS, tall man, short van, small van, sorry, and I like what he does even more now. In his first few videos, when I watched it today, I was saying, yes, I get that, that's just like me, I get that. But one thing, the reason why I'm mentioning it is he seemed to, at least at the start, and maybe even now, he seemed to not be sure that his style was working. And if you do ever watch this, John, I think your style, you call it waffle, I think that style is really engaging. It kept me listening all day, and there was lots of really great points within what you would call the waffle. So I would call it a narrative style, but it's full of information that's useful. And so I want to give you a massive shout out because I think you've got a really unique style that I think everyone would like to see. I don't know. Anyway, I just want to say that because I've had a whole day of listening to your videos. Now I feel, this is the other thing I was going to say today, I feel like I know James from Lecture. I feel like I know Toby from Fergie Afraid. I feel like I know Dave from Anvil. I feel like I know John, Neil from Neptune. And similar to John, I'm not good at social interaction. So if I was talking to them face to face, I wouldn't know what to say. I would be quite starstruck, I think. I would worry about how I came across. But I think by commenting on their videos and texting, in a what I hope is a thoughtful way, I'm hoping I can kind of repay to these kinds of guys the benefit that I've got from watching their videos, and kind of reach out to them in that way through text. For someone like me, the ability to text has transformed my world in terms of being able to talk to people. My handwriting is really bad, so typing means it's legible, but also typing is easy for me to do. I know how to word myself more clearly when I'm typing. I like to punctuate correctly. I like to explain myself because clearly, I'm doing what John does now, and I'm rambling, which I said was good for John. I'm not sure it's good for me. So I'm going to bring it to a close now. Thank you very much for watching this video. What have you learned today?